Hello and welcome to another episode of the Unexpected Entrepreneur Podcast. Today we are back with one of our past clients, Rebecca, to talk all about the rebrand experience. So before we jump into everything, would you like to introduce yourself and tell everyone who you are, what you do, all that good stuff?
Sure thing. My name's Rebecca Ickes Carra. I am the founder of the Maker's Playbook, which is an online resource for makers, if that wasn't obvious. But predominantly ceramicists have found their way to us because that's my messy side hobby. And that is both a podcast as well as an online education platform, a membership, all the things. Before all of that, funny enough, not how I met the two of you by any stretch of the imagination, but funny enough, I am also a recovering luxury wedding photographer. So it was hilarious when I got introduced to your work because I was like, well, we're going to speak the same language. So I did that for 15 years.
Yeah. Long time to be in that.
It's a lot of drunk uncles. I worked with awesome clients, amazing couples, but that's a lot of drunk relatives.
I feel like the wedding days are unpredictable in what's going to happen and who's going to show up and everything that goes down throughout the day. So I can totally see why it worked for a while and why you might wanted to transition out. And I have to say it was so much fun working with you because we do predominantly work with a lot of photographers. So anytime, which we love, but anytime we can also like step out, it's also kind of cool to be like, oh yeah, there's like other people outside of photographers that like exist in the world and need all of this stuff too. So it's always so much fun to be able to work with different industries and kind of dip our toes into all of these different things and see what's out there. So starting off with kind of where you were before you decided it was time. What was going on? Was there anything that kind of prompted all right, it's time to do this rebrand? What was kind of going through your head?
Yeah. It's funny because now it's so obvious to me, but at the time it definitely wasn't. And in part that clarity came from working with the Inkpot crew. But realizing because I had been in events and weddings and particularly the luxury space for so long, my idea around what a polished brand looked like was very specific to how much work I had done for so many years on getting really clear on the niche that I served and the clients that I served and that was super successful, right? So then when I pivoted and moved more into this online education space, I guess I don't love to use that word because I'm not out here trying to be Amy Porterfield or whatever. But anyways, when I look back at the way that I built the Maker's Playbook brand initially, I basically took my old photography brand and slightly shifted it, right? But who I was trying to serve is in no way the same whatsoever, right? I went from working with fabulous couples who were super. See, it's been long enough. I don't even remember my little elevator thing. This is interesting. This is a big moment.
Who do I work with?
Yeah. I'm like, oh my God. But the couples that I was geared towards before over instead to artists and creatives who are trying to figure out how to make a living from the things that they make, who are, maybe a little bit funkier than my luxury wedding clients. Maybe, just there's more spunk. There's more, I don't want to say more livelihood because that makes it seem like I was in I don't know. I was going to say beige land and then I looked down at my sweater. But it is my approach or the way that I felt like I had to be in that previous space was very subdued, right?
Yeah.
Was very neutral colors. I started the photography business in 2010. So I came up through the eras of all of the blushes and all of the rose gold and those things were beautiful and eucalyptus and I still wear all that color scheme because I still like it, but it didn't reflect the vibrant community that we had going on with the Maker's Playbook. With just the energy that our members brought to our online space was getting harder and harder for me to communicate virtually and in written form because there was a disconnect with the visuals that people were seeing. So
yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think that goes to show that there's obviously strategy behind any brand design. And that's like regardless of what industry you're in, there's a strategy to what your brand should look like. But what works in one industry isn't going to work across the board, or what works for one business isn't going to work for every business, even in that same industry. So I feel like it is that really important moment to think about, like, who do I actually want to work with? And like that's why we ask that. And it might seem like a dumb question of like, well, who do you like to work with? But like it informs so much about every part of your brand, your website, your messaging, your copy. Like it is such an important piece, and really taking time to be like, okay, am I actually doing everything that I can be doing in every part of my business to attract the person that I want to attract? Or am I putting things out there that like I know is going to attract a different type of person, and I'm still doing it, but like I don't want to work with that person. So
Mm.
why am I even doing this? And like
Yep.
getting stuck in that kind of hamster wheel of like, how do I actually find the people I want to find?
100%. And I knew that was true. I mean, helpful context for people listening. My degree's in graphic design. I know how to brand something, right? Which I hope people find interesting, because like that perspective you get on having someone from the outside look in. And the same was true for my photography business when I had a company rebrand that ages ago. The same was true working with the Inkpot crew. Like I sat the whole last year trying to rebrand the Maker's Playbook for myself because I knew
Mhm.
something was off, and I never got even like a molecule close to the way y'all crushed it out of the gate. So like there were things that I didn't even think we were going to change that you presented a second option, and I was like, holy crap, like I didn't know this is what I needed, but it's what I needed. But like it's so just that like outside perspective of somebody like you kind of me being able to throw a word salad of
Mhm.
information your way, and then your team being able to be like, this is what this actually means visually, and me
Yeah.
getting out of my head and just being presented with it is like incredible. But I knew I had that experience before with photography in terms of kind of getting some clients that were a great fit and other ones that were just okay, or heaven forbid bad fits, and then like getting that rebrand, getting the language, getting the visuals all locked in, and realizing people coming through the door over and over again were like, yes, these are my people. And then when you do that, so many other business problems are made easier because your
Yeah.
customer service is easier, your communication is easier, all these other things. So the thing that we were running up against for Maker's Playbook is that I was getting the right people through the door 9 times out of
Mhm.
10, but it was like it was drip. Like we were not, the growth had just completely stagnated. And a friend had taken a look at our stuff and was like, it feels really outdated. Maybe that's your problem.
Mhm.
And I had not asked for that feedback at the time, so it was rough. But then we started working together and it was great.
Yeah. No, I feel like it is that sometimes just having that outside perspective, because you are so ingrained in everything that
Mhm.
even though you are a creative, even though you may, like, we've worked with other clients who are like, I studied graphic design in college. Like, I theoretically know how to do branding and like know what makes a good design and know all the different type hierarchy and like all of these different things about design, but trying to do that for your own business is a
Mhm.
completely different thing. And, it's absolutely, we've seen so many people get stuck in that, like, I know what I'm doing and I know that I should be able to do this, but like, why can't I do it? And then it almost gets a little frustrating because you're like, I should be able to do this. And you're spending so much time and energy and you're still not happy with it. And it just becomes this like weight that you're just like, how do I
Mm.
get rid of this? And, sometimes that outside perspective is really all you need.
Well, and also it was never the project that I could fully focus on, right?
Yeah.
Because as owner, you're doing all of these other things, right? You
Mhm.
are attending to client needs, you're producing whatever service you provide if you're a service-based business or product, or you're filing taxes, like whatever, all of this stuff, that it was never something you could fully focus on. And I do think that it's, you know, it's a creative muscle that if you haven't been flexing that muscle for a while, then it's going to be even more work to like get it going. And I was also really like, I knew the vibe that I wanted to get, but I was also really concerned about how to make that vibe feel, oh, I don't have a better word than this, so forgive me, timeless, dare I say?
Yeah.
Because we can get stuck in a trend so easily. And like, I knew I wanted this to be more spunky. I knew I wanted there to be a lot more personality and vibrancy. And yet anytime I tried to mix more than like 3 colors together in a palette, it was like, ugh. And along you guys came with like, what? We have like 7 now. It's incredible. It's fabulous.
Yeah. No, I think finding that balance of like not falling into the trends, because it can be really easy because you see it and you're like, I love this and it looks great. And for things like the decorations in your house, it's awesome because you can change those every year. When it comes to your brand and your business, like your brand should be able to grow and evolve with you. And like, yes, eventually it might need to change as you like make big changes in your business, but you shouldn't have to change your brand in 6 months because you pick that font that's super trendy now, and now everyone's like over the whole Y2K thing, and now you're stuck with that and it feels like outdated again. So like finding that balance of like, how can I create something that looks and feels like me and I'm really happy with, but that I'm also not going to have to change in 6 months.
Yep. I recently spoke to a university called like a photography, professional practices course to, you know, just as somebody who'd been in it for forever. And in preparation for that, I went back through and used like the Wayback Machine and found my old homepages. And I was laughing so hard at myself for the length of time that I had the yellow and gray brand scheme. Like I never I never went so far as to have chevron with it, but I definitely still had yellow and gray and like I think it was Mrs. Eve's font or something like that. And it was just like, oh, yep, that happened.
You know, everyone's got those moments. Everyone's got those things that you look back on those pictures and you're like, that was a choice. But you know, it's all to get to this point and to grow and to learn and to, you know, experience new things. So
I could age myself really quickly if I mentioned that when I first started, selective color was like a hot thing. Choices were made. They should not have been.
Well, now that we have gotten to this point where we're in this new era, we have this new design, we have this new brand, this new website. How have things been going for you since launching it? What have you kind of noticed or seen or, you know, heard from other people, other clients or your, you know, business friends, anything like that?
Yeah. I mean, number one, there's just a new energy around everything, right? Like the energy of, and I've even been slow to roll out like the announcement and all of those things. I admittedly did not do like a huge quote unquote launch announcement of everything. I think I threw up a couple of Instagram posts and an email newsletter and called it done. But even within that, there's still this continued excitement, like using, even just for myself, there's also this renewed confidence of being proud of what I'm putting out into the world. Even just this morning, I was putting together a carousel post for a recent podcast of my own. And like just being able to go straight to the templates that y'all made and like, boom, 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 this looks beautiful, done, move on. Instead of like, should I tweak this a little? It's still not quite what I wanted, but I guess that's good enough. And then you put it out there, right? Like,
yeah,
people can just like feel an energy, even if you're something as silly as a post. So that just feels great. And I desperately wish that I would, well, do I wish I'd prioritize Instagram? I want to just like put up a bunch of random posts to shove all the old ones down farther.
Down further on the grid.
Like go full like early 2000, well, what, like mid aughts or something, where you like post 9 that make a full image or something, like, just to shove everything. Yeah. Just to shove it all down. But yeah, but it's like that's just been so much more fun to be
Mhm.
able to do, and to be able to know that I have this library of resources to just grab what I need and post something regardless of what the material is. And it looks great because we did the templates for the various like types of content I typically put out. Has It's
Yeah.
also just been a huge time saver, right? Because they're there and boom, I grab them and we go, rather than like hemming and hawing over if I'm going to take the time to redesign something in that moment.
Yeah. I feel like that's such a an underrated part of like having a new brand and having a brand that is, professionally done where like you have everything.
Mm.
Because yes, you're going to get the brand that you can use on the website and they're going to have a website that looks great. But there's so many, like, I feel like once you have something that looks really good, you're like, oh my God, how many different things can I put this on? And like, I can put my logo on everything and I can use this pattern everywhere. And like, there's so many things that you're like, wow, now I can have all these moments. But then, like, regardless of, if we build social templates for you or if you're like, okay, now I can, brand my social media, even having to like not think about like what colors do I use or what fonts do I use and just being like, okay, here's my colors. If I want to have a heading, it's this font. If I want to have a paragraph, it's this font. Like that
Yep.
weight and like mental load of trying to figure that out, especially if you're not someone who is like, I love designing things. If you have those really simple things just taken care of, like it takes so much time and like energy and pressure off yourself because you're not worrying about that. You're just like, okay, what do I write in it? And then what photo do I want here? And like hit publish. And like you can worry more about the caption than you do about like what the actual design of the post is.
Right. Which actually matters, instead of like spending all of my time on the design and then being like, whatever, emoji caption, move on with my life.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
So
there's a CTA in the caption. What? The time saved as well with that. Like, I had never, when I put together my own brand, because I did it myself, I was and doing it on the fly.
mhm.
I never took the time to then go into Canva and save the colors and save
Yeah.
the fonts and save the logo files, which sounds really stupid, but like I just did all of that one. Like the night you guys sent me all of the folders, and I was
Mhm.
just like, woohoo! Like I downloaded everything and was putting, like while watching TV or something, was putting things into Canva just because I was excited about it. But also now it's so much faster if I do need to like create something from scratch. It's all in there rather than needing to like pull up whatever file I had made myself and then copy and paste the hex code and put it over here and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah. No, it
100%.
really it is so like using the brand element in Canva to like create those presets. Like I won't we even do that as I mean obviously we do like little launch graphics, but then like we'll obviously post about launches and stuff on our end. Like we save your stuff as brands in our own Canva and like have it there so when we need to do a post about one of our
Yep.
clients, we're just like, okay, there's their brand and their colors pop up and the logos are there and we can just like paste everything in and it really does make it so easy. And I feel like once you have these things, it makes all of the other things that you used to dread not feel so dreadful because you know it's not going to take you as much time. And you're not going to be
Yep.
like, I need to block out 2.5 hours to put up one Instagram post. And like, there's a third of my day. And that feels like such a waste of time. And so I'm just not going to do it. And then I'm not posting. And then it just becomes this whole thing where, you know, you just take all of it off. It's there, it's ready. All you got to do is
Yep.
plug and play and you're good.
Yep. And the same goes with how you've built the website, right? Like realizing, I was just having a conversation the other day of thinking about like how we're going to, like the funnel of how we're going to bring in clients, and
Mhm.
realizing I finally had this kind of breakthrough of like, oh, we could, because I was struggling for a long time of like, okay, so we have this photography education side of what I do now for artists to learn how to take better photos of the work that they make and sell that work online. And then I have this business side of it too. And it was like how to manage both of these spaces. And because of the way you set up the photography education, which was more built out anyways,
Mhm.
now that I'm looking at the business education side, I can literally just duplicate the page that you made
Yeah.
and replace the content as needed, which will also be a better user experience because the navigating through pages will be similar, how things work will be similar and simple, and save me time. Like it goes across all the things.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that like we see and utilize on our end as we're designing. We're like, when you're looking at pages, your every single canvas on every single page does not have to be different. Like there are certain
Mhm.
things that can be carried page to page, and all that does is create that commonality between your website. Like every page should not feel like its own website because it's not going to feel cohesive as we go
Yep.
through. So like there are elements that like normally we'll pick like one or two specific elements that are carried through every page, whether it's, you know, specific text highlights or line usage or like background, you know, outline, like whatever it is, having that it's carried through. But then like having pages where you can be like, yeah, I can actually take this page and duplicate it and swap out the content. And the pages don't necessarily look exactly the same, but
Mhm.
people know what to expect. It feels cohesive. It feels like one complete website. And it's super easy for them to find what they need to find, which ultimately is the whole goal of the website, like actually being able to get to the information that you want to get
Right.
to.
Right. Whether that be a book here, contact me, join this membership, buy this course, whatever. You know, and I'm sure there's no, of course we don't have the hard data on it, but like I've done a couple of promos since we did the launch of the new brand, and I'm
Mhm.
sure that energy has come through of the new brand in the promos because we've gotten more people to try out our membership in the last uh what, 2 months
Mhm.
than I had in the previous 6,
Yeah.
right? So like there are then numbers attached to like, oh, hey, look, it's
Yeah.
working.
It really is when you feel good about what you have and what
Hmm.
you're putting out, it comes through to other people and they feel
Yep.
good about it. And like that can be a big difference maker in just how you like physically or like virtually show up in your own business.
Yep. 100%. And I think that energy is also seen not just for myself, but even in for our clients, for my students and the members, like their response to the brand, their
Yeah.
excitement around it. Like clearly you hit the nail on the head because they connected with it. Even
Yeah.
when I just started doing like little teaser, like here's the tagline, and everyone was like,
Yeah.
ooh.
When they're
So
excited
yeah.
about it, you're like, okay, good, because you're the people I want to be excited
Right.
about it. I want more of you. So if you hated it, then we're totally on the wrong
Right.
track here.
Shit. Yeah. Yep. No, it was great. It was great. And I am embarrassed to say, actually, I think it was only when I shared the logo redesign with our members that I realized the graphic play that you guys made with the M and the P. So the company's called Maker's Playbook. So MP. I had said I really enjoy having fun with typography and like making shapes out of letters. And so we started thinking like, oh, I'll just keep the icon because it's this little play on a book and the M and the P, and that works. And then y'all came out with something way better, and I was like, never mind, this is what we're doing. I loved the look of it, period. I don't think it was actually until I shared it with my members, this is embarrassing to say on the record, where someone was like, oh my God, it's a mug. And I was like, oh my God, you're right.
I do.
Which is perfect.
I
That's
will
how
say I do
subtle it
remember you
was.
telling us that. You were like, I see it now.
Which was just like, but it's subtle, which is great. The way the arrow in FedEx is subtle, or
Hmm.
the hidden one in the Big Ten logo because there was 11 school. I mean, now there's more than 11, so this is pointless. But
Yeah,
like those fun little things that we can nerd out on from a design perspective. Like once you see it, you can't unsee it. But until somebody points it out, it's like, hee hee hee.
exactly. You're like, oh, you're like, now I'm obsessed with it, and now this is all I can
Yeah.
think about.
Yep. Yep. 100%. I mean, I may or may not have, I haven't actually launched this yet, but like I started a Printify account because I'm like, well, now I can do merch. Now I can do this, like,
Why
because I
not?
want to do it, you know?
Yeah.
We did stickers for a conference. It was super fun.
Hmm. So, other than the new icon, was there any part of the whole process experience, anything like that, that was your favorite, or any part that you were actually like a little surprised by?
I think I'm surprised. I mean, I was clearly surprised by the icon and just how much we changed, but in a good way.
Hmm.
Like, because it hit the nail so perfectly on the head. It's one of those things like I knew I needed to do this but then you realize just how badly you needed to do it.
You're like, oh, I didn't know I needed to go that far, but like I needed to go that far.
But I did. It's like, oh, there you are. Like that's what we are always looking for. And I will say, like, for anybody thinking about a rebrand, I don't think we would have gotten this if I would have called you up 4 years ago when we first started this career transition, right? I needed that interim, like, to understand who our new audience was, to understand what I was excited about and where we wanted to go with the business. And like, just excited by how much you were able to take, like, the things that I was most worried about in terms of those, like, using lots of color, but still like wanting to still be professional and still be taken seriously and seen as like, I know what I'm talking about. I have all this experience, but also have more fun with it. Like, just how well you were able to capture that in a way that is clearly exciting me, in a way that I can use in a lot of different ways, in a way that feels refined and professional without losing the spunk of it all. And I think that's what, like, I understood from your website in the beginning and why Inkpot Creative is who I chose for the project in the first place, because it was like, clearly you have super refined brands that you've built, but also you're having a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah. So. I think that idea that, like, to have a, like, quote unquote professional business and brand, it needs to feel boring is, like, very overrated, because, like, especially the people you're working with aren't boring. Like, if you want to work with boring people, then, like, yes, your brand should be boring because that's what they're going to be attracted to. But, like, you're not trying to work with boring people. Like, you want to work with people who are fun and have a personality and are excited and are passionate and, like, want to see all these things, want to do different things. And, like, your brand needs to speak to that. And I think the disconnect is, like, you can still have fun things. You can have bold colors. You can have interesting fonts. Like, all of that doesn't inherently make your brand feel less professional. Your brand feels less professional when it feels messy and it feels like disconnected. And those things, like, we can use the same things in a brand that, like, doesn't connect at all. And you're like, okay, that doesn't feel professional, but, like, this does, because you see the vision, you see the strategy. It's attracting who it wants to attract. That's what professional is. And then the experience you give people afterwards of, like, what is it like working with you, and what do you get, and, like, the communication and, you know, all of those things are what makes your brand professional, and not like, you can't have bright color. Our color palette is the rainbow. Like, you can go very unprofessional with the rainbow and you can go very professional with the rainbow. It's really how everything comes together as a whole.
Yep. 100%. And that's what I found so fascinating, even just looking at your website specifically, is, like, how much fun you could have with your own brand. And then you also had the skill to, because sometimes you'll look at a designer site and clearly they have a style, right? Mm-hmm. And that's perfectly normal. That's perfectly fine. Everybody's got an aesthetic. It's a creative business. But you can see, like, okay, if I want to build a brand that looks like X, then I hire this company because this is their style. And what's so impressive about what you all do is you are going from one range to the next, right? The brand you've built for yourselves is one style. And then I could go to a photographer's, you know, a case study that you have on the site that's, like, incredibly refined, cursive handwriting, letterpress printing, you know, I'm thinking super thick paperweights and like, not a physical paperweight, like the weight of the paper, just to be nerdy, in case that wasn't clear. You know, like, all this stuff that I was used to from the old space that I was in, and anywhere in between, to where I was like, okay, that takes a different type of understanding. That takes, like, getting to know what someone's looking for and getting to know who their audience is on a different level than marketing yourself to a specific style.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that we love, because it truly is, like, your personality and who you want to attract into your business. Like, that is the core of what your brand should be, especially when we're looking at businesses where, like, you are working more on, like, a one-on-one or, like, kind of one-to-group basis. It's not some nameless business that is just, like, mass producing something. you are the like heart and soul and brains and everything behind your business. So like your personality is a big part of that. And I think not taking that into account, not building that around your brand, and like that is your special sauce. That is the one thing, your personality is the one thing that no one else can duplicate and copy and take from you. So, being able to lean into that and be like, this is what I want it to feel like. And this is the energy that I'm going to bring personally. And so this is the energy that I want my brand to bring, so that people know this is what they can expect. Like, it is such a cool thing to kind of experience, because it turns into super fun, playful brands and super high-end luxury brands and everything in between. And it really is just individual to who you are as a person. That's what's going to come through in the brand itself.
Yep. And you nailed it. There's also that.
You mentioned it a little bit, but now that you have everything, how confident do you feel with the new brand and website and everything that you have?
11 out of 10. Easily. No notes. Like, done and done. Yeah, it just was blown out of the water, like past the expectations that I had for what that shift was going to look like. And so now it's just exciting to like keep pushing it forward, right? Like the things that I didn't have totally flushed out in the time that we were working with, which, speaking of the time, the thing that I was nervous about in the beginning was how short the timeline was, because I was like, ooh, 2 rounds of revisions, that could be, I don't know, am I going to be a pain in the ass to work with? I'm not certain. But then that's exactly all we needed. Like, it's in some ways, on the flip side now, being on the other end of it, like, it was such a relief to have that timeline, because it was super clear from the get-go. I knew what to expect. I knew when we were going to get things and when I needed to get things to you. I could plan ahead for all of that. But then also, like, because I've done branding experiences in the past that are like a 6-month long thing.
Yeah.
To go from start to finish. And frankly, twice as much as you were charging. So raise your prices. Everybody booking Pot Creative before they do, or don't, and they get more money. But, like, that was just, it was so drawn out that sometimes you also lose sight of where you were trying to go. And so, at times I was worried that was going to be like, ooh, I don't fully have an answer to this, but I need to get this in by a deadline. At the same time, it's good to be like, to have to make a decision. You just have to make a decision and move forward, because hemming and hawing over it for another 2 weeks was not actually going to give us any more clarity.
Yeah. And I think that kind of focused attention is like our biggest thing, of like being really intentional about what's gonna happen, when you're gonna get things, when we're gonna get things, what exactly we need from you. Because I feel like that's another part of it too, is like, sometimes we're like, okay, we're going to start the website, and like, we have this thing. And then we're like, actually, no, we need this too. And then you're like, okay. And then that's like another week before. And then we're like, actually, no, we need this too. And then it just like gets drawn out unnecessarily. And you can almost like lose a little bit of the like excitement and like interest in actually doing it, which like this should be a super exciting thing and like the next step in your business, and like a new thing to put out there. So, having it very short, to the point, we're not at the point where like we're rushing through it and like you don't have time to do anything, and like we aren't actually interested in your feedback, but being really intentional about, setting aside time to be like, okay, I'm going to get this on this day. I'm going to set aside a couple hours on this day to really sit down and look at it. Because the reality is, if you have a week to look at something, what are the odds that you're going to look at it the last day it's due for 1 hour, and you're not going to have actually looked at it over that week anyway? Like, is it really going to change at all? And, just be like, no, we're going to give it to you here. Feedback is due here. Yep. That's all you need.
And like, you still had time to sleep on things, right? Like, so what I would do is like, number one, anytime an email would come through, the excitement level just increased. Like, now when Inkpot Creative shows up in my inbox, I'm like, woohoo! Like, what's there? It was like a dopamine hit. So even if I had slated the time for later, I threw that out the window and just opened the email immediately, number one. But I would do a like immediate reaction, train of thought, responses, feedback, sleep on it, and then come back to it and be like, yes, this is still true. Let me delete this. Mm-hmm. What I wrote here doesn't make any sense even to me. and then actually submit it to you. Right. So you still had like, it's not I didn't feel rushed in the actual experience of it the way I was worried about on the front end.
Yeah. And I feel like that's a good approach to it too, because like odds are 90% of the time, your initial reactions and feelings towards it are going to be how you feel about it. And sometimes you can almost convince yourself of other things if you like spend too much time or are having too many like outside perspectives being like, what should I do? And like really just trusting yourself and being like, I know my business and I know the people I want to work with. And like, how do I feel about this myself? Taking everyone out of how do I feel about this? What do I like? What do I not like? And just like go with your gut because your gut got you to this point. Like you should trust that in yourself.
That's a fantastic point that I didn't even think about until now, that I didn't have the time. Like I sent a couple of like screenshots to friends who knew who I talked to about doing this process before we even started working together. But it wasn't like enough time to go crowdsource feedback and then get really confused. And especially for where I was at in terms of this career shift, in terms of having to like rewire my brain for who the audience I am working with is, what the brand I'm actually building is, what a professional site or brand or, all of these things that I was just having to shift because the career has changed. So having to go with my gut and go that direction didn't give a chance for the past 15 years of training to kick in and be like, oh, but you need a serif or you need beige. So sage green.
Yeah.
Whatever.
No, and I mean, the reality is odds are if you're sending this to other people, 9 times out of 10, they are not going to be the people that are like clients that you want to attract. They're going to be friends. They're going to be family members. And while love them, great, amazing, they might be great people. If they are not the type of person that you want working with you, their opinion might just make things more confusing. And it's not going to necessarily fit what is actually best for your business. And like we try to tell people, like if you can, keep it to a minimum of like getting opinions from a bunch of different people, because they're most likely going to come at it at a point of like, well, I don't like green, so I don't think you should have green in your color palette. And like that actually has no, like it doesn't matter at all. That like their opinion of green is great and they can never wear green, but like your brand actually really connects with the green and like it would be really great in it. So, all of those things can make it more difficult and then make you start to question yourself. And then you go down this rabbit hole and then it's like, well, now I don't even know if I like this, but like everyone else is saying that I should do this. So like, I guess I should do it. And it just muddies everything.
Yes. The shoulds. So basically your timeline removes the shoulds of the world, which is, we need to apply that to everything in our life possible. Please and thank you.
Just quick decision. Trust yourself. Go with it. You know what's best. And
y'all are out here giving like, now you just got to charge for therapy at this point.
I mean, I do have a degree in psychology, so it works.
It's like you know how this works. What?
So if anyone wants to take a look at the new brand, the new website, all of these different amazing things, where can they find you? Online, website, social media, anything like that?
All the things. So the website's makersplaybook.com, and social media, which is mostly Instagram, is themakersplaybook.com. Speaking of shoulds and hemming and hawing decisions, like, do you get the URL with the? Do you not? Like how?
Naming a business and getting everything for it is the most complicated process. That is like, I'm glad I don't have to do that again. And that I didn't do it in KP named the business.
Nice. Good life choice. But that's it. That's also the name of the podcast. It's the name of all the things. So
exactly. If you don't have to worry about anything. But I will put all those links down in the description below. Definitely go check them out. Thank you so much for coming on today and talking about this. It was so great to be able to talk through it all. And we will catch you in the next episode.
Sounds amazing. Thank you.